Good afternoon and welcome. We're in Southampton on the south coast of England, home to Southampton Football Club, the Saints, and I'm about to show you my full setup on the stage, so follow me. This is quite unique. This is, first of all, it's a Gretsch broadcaster kit. It's 3-ply maple shell. And it's a four-legged gong drum, which is quite unique. I used this came about and the inspiration was from Party Like a Russian, Robbie's first single. So this sounds great mic'd up through the sub, and it's just used as an effects drum really. Then I've lost a floor tom to compensate for this, so I've now just got a 16-inch floor tom. I've got a 13-inch rack. These are all normal sizes. Then I've got a 14-inch snare here, which is a hammered brass, 14 by 5, which is gorgeous. We've got a 24 by 14-inch kick, a bit more shallow than I used to use, but I like that because it means I can get further to the front of the stage. No, really, it just sounds better. They're easy to tune. We've got a 20-inch by 14 again, which... they've both got different sounds, very different sounds. I don't use the two kicks as a double kick. It's just to have two different sonics. So, for example, Rock DJ, I'd use the small kick on the verses, and on the choruses, I'd then go to the big kick. And in a rig like this, in a stadium, you can hear the difference. Then on my left here is a 14-inch by 5 chrome over brass, hammered brass snare. Again, two snares is purely for the sonics. This is tuned a lot higher, and this is tuned a lot lower. So in kids, on the verses I'd play this, and on the choruses I'd play this, just so it opens up and you get that big wallop to the chorus. Okay, then I'm using... Two snare drums at the back. I have got two snares at the back, sorry. This is a broadcaster. This is 14 by 5.5, so I have to drop the claws on the snare a little bit. But this comes on for songs like The Flood, Come Undone, anything that needs that fat, weighty backbeat, really. So this does the trick for that. Then I've got another Gretsch, beautiful drum this is. Do you know what this is? So this drum, go on Mike, I'll let you tell them what this is. It's gorgeous, and this drum is used for if we do any swing, or if I need a bit more of a high-pitched, funkier sound. So you can see the snare wires on that. It's John Bonham style. These drums will all do anything you like, but I have them all tuned, ready to go for each different song. We must have played about over 45, 50 songs in rehearsals, so I just have to have everything to hand, ready to go.
How are you, Carl?
Very well, good to see you.
Okay, so third date in. Yep. How's it going so far?
Really good. First two shows couldn't have gone any better. I mean, with all the lead up from what happened in Manchester recently, there's a bit more tension and a bit more sort of. I guess everyone wanted it to go as well as possible, and I guess it was the first big event since that happened. So it was really important to us all that we gave a great show and it sort of united Manchester together, really, and we did. And Robbie, I don't know if you know, but he did a new version of Strong. He sang and he changed the lyrics for the chorus, which we performed at the One Love show at the weekend. So it was an amazing response. I mean, he was really taken by it himself. Everyone was really emotional.
You've, I mean, this isn't your first stadium tour. I certainly think you've done two with Robbie. This is your second one with Robbie.
Yeah.
Acoustically and the way that you play, do you approach the gig any differently?
I don't think so. I mean, the first thing that you do notice on a stadium tour, playing outside, the acoustics are very different to being inside a building. So if you hit a kit acoustically before you put your in-ears in, you don't get much back off it. The kick drum just sounds like it's got no oomph at all. So that's the first thing you notice. But as soon as the ears go in, thank God for in-ears now, I suppose, but you get a more sense of a studio sound. But it doesn't make me play any harder or it doesn't make me change my dynamics doing a stadium, really. The only thing sometimes you get is you can hear the stadium, especially when you're sound checking. It's just like playing in a swimming baths. There's just not much definition to anything. But no, I guess nowadays with all the technology we have, it's easy to make it.
What about interaction with the guys on the stage? Because is it the stage bigger, and is it like...
Yeah, it's a good question, because I always think it's important, no matter how big a stage is, to have the band close together, so that, you know, I mean, my eyes aren't great these days, but if someone like Jerry, the bass player Jerry, would be pretty much where you are, maybe a few feet further away, but if you can have eye contact, it's great, because if you can just see a figure and you don't know if they're looking at you or not, then you can't really play off them. So Jerry and Tom, who are in front of me, have a bit of a free rein to walk around. They have to be careful at times, because I don't want to give too much away, because you were going to see the show tonight, but there's movement in the stage, let's say. So if you don't know when these things happen,
you could fall down a hole.
You could fall down a hole. So knowing when to move for them is important. But yeah, you'll see that we interact together a lot, and I think it's important that when the audience are watching the band, I mean, if the band are all a million miles apart and there's no interaction with the band, it gets a bit boring, I think. I think it's good to see, like when Status Quo, Francis Rosser and Rick Parfitt used to have a chat to each other while they were playing. Everyone said, well, what are they talking about then? It's part of the performance, I think. So this layout is good. We're all together and we can all see each other. So
I mean, you guys have all worked together now for quite a few years. You know.
I think I've been with Robbie now for, it must be getting on for 8 years.
Okay, and then the team's been there. I mean, Guy's been there for a while. Tom and
Guy, I mean, Gary Nuttall is the longest standing member of the band. I think it's over 20 years now. And when you meet him, you'll see why he's been around so long. He's a lovely guy, and he's got a great voice, which him and Rob sing well together. Oh, mustn't forget Pete Conway. Rob's dad's on the road with us, it's great having him about. He's like the godfather of the tour. So there's a lot of people doing jobs, but people work so hard. I mean, we just come in and play for 2 hours, but the guys setting up this monstrosity of a set, it takes them a while. It was pouring rain yesterday, so couldn't have been much fun. But yeah, big thanks to those, because they work very hard. The handprint, right? Well, my little boy who turns 7 next week, I can't believe it, Finley Brazil. I was trying to think of something that would remind me of my family when I'm on the drums and playing, you know, getting carried away in this big atmosphere and sort of event. And I decided to put his hand, we did it with some blue paint at home. His mum sent it me, and then I got Remo to transfer it onto every head that comes my way over from America. So I'm very lucky for one. And the other thing is that when I'm playing up here, looking out into that crowd, I've only got to look down at the drum and see his little hand, and it just makes me smile. He's with me wherever I am, so he's kind of enjoying it. He's coming to the show next week, and I can't wait to see his little face when he comes and sees it, because I don't know if you can see it, but I've had it done on the cymbals as well. So it's a nice little touch, and I try not to hit the hand. That's the only thing. It feels like I'm telling him off. try and work around it.
So preparation. Building up to a stadium date like this, as you just said, I think the guys were telling me it's 3 days it takes them to set that stage up, 24 hours to get the rig in, and obviously you rock up like a couple of hours before and come. Is there anything different about a stadium tour before, as in the way that you act to an arena?
Well, I guess with stadium tours, I think they have to open the doors earlier, because it takes longer to people get in, so the hours might be a bit different. Like getting into a stadium, if the traffic's bad, can be problematic. So they like to get us into the compound quick, early as we can, if you like, when the guys are ready for us. And sound checks probably are earlier outdoors in stadium gigs, because they want to get the crowd in. And then I kind of like it. I like being here on site early, because then it's important to me to eat at least 2.5 hours, 3 hours before a gig. I hate going on feeling a bit like I've just eaten, or you know, your body's digesting the food. I don't like food. I like to be over and done with food. To eat, don't eat too much, which is hard with catering, because it's great food. We do like a vocal warm up together. There's just nicely set times of everyone. I do a lot of stretching now. Now I'm getting older.
Right.
Do a lot of calf stretches, warming up. I don't know where my pad is, but I warm up on the pad. Do calf stretches, hamstring stretches, and a few top body stretches. It just loosens me up, because the other thing, when you go on stage, I mean, Manchester started really hot the other night. I was roasting, I had the fan on, and by the end of the show, the wind and the cold really set in, and I actually came off and my hands were freezing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's the other thing you've got to be careful of. And of course, if there's a fan blowing, and then it blows cold sweat and dries into you, you're asking for all sorts of colds and...
Well, this is the next question. So, first of all, you're doing a 90-minute show. So how do you prepare when you're actually on the first number? Do you pace yourself for that 90 minutes?
It's hard to do that, with Robbie, because Robbie's like modern day Elvis. When he hits that stage, his energy levels are amazing. So let me entertain you. It's always been 110% songs, a lot going on, and it's full adrenaline all the way. And that's how Rob's shows start. So it's a bit of a tradition with that. You can't not start it any other way. You know, he's got traditions of coming out the roof or whatever, hanging upside down. So it always starts with a bang. So I always find that I give it everything, and I kind of then sink in. It's a bit like going on and scoring a goal in the first 5 minutes. That's what it feels like, and then you want to sit back and hold it together.
So do you are you drinking anything during the show?
Oh, I drink.
Constantly drinking water.
I would say I drink 5 bottles of this size throughout the show.
Okay.
So important to keep hydrated, because you can, well, you know, you train, you can really feel it if you don't hydrate yourself throughout the day, because you lose nothing but water for the first 3.
So you're cramping up.
3 cramping up. Yeah. So I'm pretty on top of what I drink and eat now.
Okay.
And I'll make sure I eat. You know, be a good. I'll get 2.5 hours time to digest my dinner. Make sure my shirt still fits, of course.
So you get up in the morning. Okay.
Yep.
Do you actually set out some kind of plan on show day or not?
Oh,
really?
I'll be honest with you. When you're on tour, show times, going to bed, you normally go to bed a bit later than usual, because you come off stage, you relax for a little bit, probably have a small bite to eat. You might see your guests. Then you get back to the hotel, maybe have a little chat with some of the lads. So you're probably looking at going to bed later than you normally would at home. So therefore, your days start later. Yeah. Sleep's so important for me. If I haven't had enough sleep, it'd affect my head. I think it can affect tempos. Yep. Although, you know, a lot of the shows clicked, but when you're free, I think it's really important to have your sleep, eat, and drink. So, yeah, I'm pretty on top of that. I would say I wouldn't get up when I'm on tour. You know, I wouldn't be getting up at 10 o'clock. It'd probably be 11 o'clock if I'm really honest. But that works. But
then you have to worry about all the business side. I think you've got emails to do. You've got bills to pay.
Well, you get a couple of hours window every day to do some emails. If you want to go for a swim or have a spa, check in with home, and then get on the bus. And then once you're in the venue, there's always stuff to do. The hours between sound check and showtime just disappear, because you could, you know, end up having a game of FIFA or meeting some friends, guests, and a bit of food, and before you know it, everyone's putting their shirts on. It's like, is it that time already?
Yeah. Well, I think this is the important thing as well, because this is a business now. I mean, you know, it's a great business, and we're very privileged to be doing what we do, but it is still a job, and it is business. I mean, so you find you've got that time during the day on the road to do all that? Yeah,
I mean, each day is very different. Like, for example, Sunday was going to be a day off, but of course we did the One Love and One Love show in Manchester, and also when we get to different territories, we might have new songs to learn. We might put a song in for a certain territory. So we had Rick Astley with us in Manchester, which was brilliant. That's a box ticked, playing Never Gonna Give You Up. So we rehearsed that, and if that's happening, sound check would be longer. So there's always something different every day. So whenever you get a window, I mean, I haven't checked my phone for the last, 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So when I go and check it, there's probably a bundle of emails that I'll need to do. But best time for that is after a show when you get back to the hotel.
So how much time do you spend on this tour's, 3 months?
This will run until September 10th.
Okay, so you are now, since the last few years, you've started getting into a bit more management, as in looking after bands, etc., etc. So how much time, do you just focus on this gig for the next 3.5 months?
No, I keep as many plates spinning as possible. Okay. I've even got a few sessions within days off on the tour. If there's a good duration of time off, we've even got some other, you know, little shows we're doing, private shows, things like that. So I just manage things day by day, and if something needs addressing, I just have a priority list of what needs sorting out. So I've got a D-drum trigger on this 22 kick, which is used for Candy. I'm triggering a bass drum from the SPDX, which is it's a pretty dancey, crunchy bass drum. So I send the live kick and the trigger to front of house, and they mix it together how they see fit. So it's not complicated. Well, it looks complicated, a kit like this, but when you know what it all does, it's not. But everything that is here gets used. There's nothing here for show. Although you could argue, when I talk through the cymbals, I'm going to start round this end. This is a combination that Sabin put together, which is really nice. I've got rid of the china, and I use this with the snare sometimes as a bit. So I've got the sick hat on top, and then I've got a Vanguard underneath. The Vanguard is a 20, and this is an 18 on top. And it's trashy, but it's great. It's great with the snare. If you hit that. Okay, so then the cymbals again. They look the sizes. They can fool you because they look smaller than they are. But this is a 19-inch artisan crash. My favourite cymbal. This is a 21 artisan crash, but it's so big. It's a nice ride cymbal as well. So I often crash this with the snare because it's just a nice position. I used to have a ride there when we were doing more swing, but this crash is now taking its place. The 22-inch heavy legacy ride. I choose this. It's cutting and it's got great bell for Let Me Entertain You, which is at the start of the show. It's so important that. 20-inch crash artisan. You could say I've got too many crashes, but it's just nice to have them around. It's all nice and flat, as you can see. Not too high because I'm a short guy. So that's at 20. Then we've got the new Legacy 12-inch Splash, which is really nice. It's lovely, that. It's quite dark. That Splash probably only gets hit twice in a show, I'd say. You can count tonight. It's got a certain place in songs. I don't like to use splashes unless they're really called for. And then we've got an 18-inch crash here. So that completes the cymbals. Oh, I must mention the hi-hats. Most important part of the kit. These are 15-inch artisans. So it's mainly an artisan setup, really. The Legacy ride and the Splash is the only outcast, really. But the artisans do the trick. Very musical cymbals. You can hit them light, and they go forever, actually. But these two are great crash rides. And they look smaller than you think, but they're pretty big cymbals.
And recently, since we last met, I mean, the DW hardware is new to your setup, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a massive upgrade, this DW stuff. You can see we're using the mic stands for the DW gear as well, and the new rack that Fred's put together. Fred Burke, I must give him. Fred designed this rack. I didn't want a rack that looked like a big curve rack and two 80s rock, if you like. I wanted the kit to look retro, so from the front you can't see many stands on the floor, and I've suddenly got a lot more leg space, foot space underneath the kit. So I like that. We were slightly worried at first about whether it'd take the impact, because I haven't actually got a snare stand. This is just coming off. It's T-bone, we called it, from the middle, so it works really well. It's really steady, and what it means for Fred is that when he's setting up every day, there's no arguments about positions or where anything should be, because it's all locked down. It's a really unique looking system. So we've basically got two curve bars either side of the kit, and it's just very tidy, and I think it's got a retro look as well, in a sort of way. Yeah. So I'm really happy. I'm using the 9,000 pedals here. Got a single double chain kick pedal there. I've got a lefty double kick pedal to operate this kick, because that gives me freedom to still play with the hat. So I can just move kicks so easy and still play with the hat like that. So and again, this is, I don't know what you call this stand, Mike, but it's one single hi-hat without any legs, which is mounted. It is a 9,000, but it's got no legs. But the great thing is it's clamped to the kick, so everything's rock solid. It's a bit like setting up a mini scaffold set, I'd imagine. But yeah, I think it's very unique.
The thing I've noticed here is across the top of your bass drum.
Yeah.
4 moon gels. What's that? What's going on there?
Because I change snares throughout the show. Yeah, it doesn't taste very nice. Because I change snare drums throughout the show. Depends on the venue. Sometimes you might just get a bit more overtone. So I sometimes might just grab one and just stick it right on the edge just to take a bit away. But they're like tissues. Fred just leaves them there in case I need them, because my drum tech's actually off stage and behind this humongous screen. So in the show, if I need him desperately, I'd have to play one-handed and go, Fred, and put the mic back in the slot and then play again. But that hasn't happened too much. So he just basically puts everything around. So even if I drop a stick, I've got one here I can pull out. I've got one down here I can pull out. Everything's been thought of, we hope.
So he's asleep?
Yeah, he's having a kip out the back. And then the only other thing that you probably wouldn't notice on a gig like this is there's a camera here. This camera is the Karl cam, I think they call it. And this camera moves throughout the show. It's a bit like a black R2D2 sort of. It's a very robotic looking thing, but it moves around, and I'm not conscious that it's there, but you wouldn't want to sit here blowing your nose or picking your nose or anything. You constantly are on camera, but not that I mean, as you all know, I pull the worst faces in the world when I pack the kit. I can't help it, but it's you're just aware that there's a camera there. But that's a part of most gigs now. There's little cameras everywhere dotted around.
Does this kit much difference to the kit you used on the last tour?
Yeah, the main thing is that the bass drum sizes are shorter, and I just prefer these vintage shorter bass drums. They're easier to tune and they sound better for me, for how I play. Also, I had 2 rack toms for a bit on the last tour, 12 and 13. I don't know what to do with them. I don't know what to do with more than one rack tom, to be honest. But this couldn't be comfier. I'm really set, really comfy. Stall height is quite critical to me as well. I like to make sure that my legs are just at a slight angle. If you're playing and they're up, I always find it quite a strain. Yeah, I got on a kit the other week. I can't remember what happened, but let me entertain you. Basically, the hats do that all the way through. Now, if you're at a funny angle, you can end up getting terrible cramp or something. Oh my God! So, by the way, very important part of the gig too. BC2, Porter and Davis. Funny thing is, they've been playing music out the back. They're listening to last night's show, and the bass drum's been pumping through this as I've been talking to you. Oh, really? It's been plumbed in, yeah. So yeah, thanks, boys. This stall's working great, and I've still got 2 subs behind me. But in a venue like this, it's amazing how much sub can disappear. So to feel it coming through my backside is really great. There's quite a lot of gear there, but I think we've covered it. But there's one other thing actually. This is a little Avalon desk. So throughout the show, I've got control over a few little details. First is Rob's vocal, because that would go up and down depending on where he is. Second would be click track, vital to me. If I can't hear the click, we're in trouble. So I can ride that throughout the show. Then the countings on songs, I've also got that separate, because sometimes there's more going on at the front of a song than others. And then finally, I've got stereo mix of the band that I can turn up or turn down. So I leave it pretty set most nights, but you never know. But it's really good to have a little bit of control myself. I've also got a foot switch down here. If I press the foot switch, it goes to the monitor guy. If I leave my foot off it and just talk, it goes to the drum tech. So lots to remember, but all important details. It's easy to just get in the tour bubble and stay in it and lock yourself into the tour, but you have to keep other things going, whether it's making plans with the family. Organising guests is quite a big thing, because you know, each day you have a different guest list, making sure you get your guests in on time. All that type of thing is time consuming, but you still have to think about what happens business-wise when the tour finishes. Yeah. So I'm already planning other sessions and maybe some tours at the end of this year. So it's there's always stuff to do.
Right.
But each day isn't like walking into the office, sitting at a desk with a set, a couple of hours. You just have to choose your windows carefully.
Last 2 questions. Okay, the worst part about touring and the best part about touring.
Okay, well, I'll start with the worst. For me now, being a dad, father to little Finn, being away from him and family is the hardest thing.
Right.
Because even though he could come around to shows with his mum and see his dad, it doesn't fit with his school plans now. He's nearly 7. Yeah. Taking him out of school is a problem. So saying goodbye to him I mean, it's easier for him most of the time, because he's a very happy-go-lucky kid, and he's on to he's at school. There's parties at the weekend, football. But I just sometimes feel bad that I'm not there to witness some of the great stuff he's doing. But thank God for FaceTime. Yeah. I watched his cup final on FaceTime the other week, and he won the cup, but I couldn't be there. I was just about to go on what's the morning breakfast brunch, Sunday brunch show. Yeah. Okay. I was just about to go on, and I managed to watch the cup final and the final whistle going on FaceTime. So it wasn't that bad, but it's just I just miss family when I'm away. But
the best thing?
The best thing about, I think if you're going to tour and do, this is probably as good as it gets. Touring with Robbie is amazing, and we get very well looked after. I think seeing seeing how much people enjoy themselves and how many people can come to one show is it's pretty amazing experience to be part of, and every show feels like it's the best show you've done. So it's a long way to continue, and I think we've got about 35 dates left.
Wow. Okay.
In doing this stadium tour, so it's a very exciting time, and I just want to make sure I take it all in and enjoy every moment, because it's very lucky. I'm a lucky boy to do what I always wanted to do. I've got to go and eat and get ready for tonight's performance. It's blowing a gale here, so I'm hoping that the weather holds out. But I hope you've enjoyed a little tour around the Heavy Entertainment Show. See you out there soon. Bye.